I have it on my phone.
Hello, everyone. Scooter with Scooter's Brass here today on this wonderful Happy Father's Day edition. My wonderful co-host, my wonderful wife, Kara, Mrs. Scooter. So today is Father's Day, and for those of you that have been following me for a while, you know that I lost my father last month. He passed away on May 6th. He was 79 years old. He was an Air Force veteran. He was a volunteer firefighter. He was police chief or fire chief at one time in Allentown, New York. So this is the first Father's Day without being able to call him and say hi. So it kind of, it's a little bit of a heavy heart, but also knowing that there's a lot of fathers out there that deserve a lot of credit. It's one of those things that we can celebrate. For Father's Day, I haven't heard from my devil spawn kid yet. I'm hoping to hear from him sometime this afternoon. But I know Kara has talked to her dad, Donnie, for Father's Day, and they had a nice little chat. For Father's Day, though, we don't usually exchange gifts or anything, but my wife, because of the fact that I lost my dad last month, made some things for me and gave them to me today. The first thing, of course, is the dad and son coffee cup, where she put pictures of me and my dad sitting on the couch in his house in New York one day when we were there. I think it was 1999. It was the 4th of July weekend, so it was almost, however many years ago that was. Let's see, what else did we get? She got me this photo book. She made this photo book for my father, which has a bunch of photos, family photos over the past, decades with different family members, different photos. There's one right there with me and him at the B-17, which is right here. The Fuddy Duddy at the National Warplane Museum in New York. I think it's in Elmira Corning. But she put all this together. She didn't tell anybody she was doing it, which is very rude. But, she did a really nice job gathering a bunch of photos and putting a whole book together for us, which was really nice. And the other Father's Day thing she gave me was a couple of years ago in 2019, I did my first Superstition Mountain Mystery 3-gun match. And I had the opportunity to meet the great Jerry Mikulik and had somebody take a photo. So she turned it into an actual photo box. She's going to build a nice frame for it so that I can hang it up on my wall. So, it's kind of a bittersweet Father's Day, knowing my dad's not here anymore. But his memory is always going to be here in my heart. And I'll always remember him with fond memories of the fun we had when we were able to have it. So, happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there. Hope you have a good one. Hope they pamper you and treat you well. We are having green chili cheeseburgers later that was my choice for dinner for Father's Day, which is, I can't help it. I love green chili cheeseburgers. They're just awesome. It doesn't do good for my diet, but it's a splurge thing. So anyway, a friend of mine who does a live video feed also, her name is Kara Nicole. She's also known as AZ Power Girl. We were watching her live broadcast this morning. She has this thing on Sunday mornings where her and a few of her girlfriends get together and have a video meeting type thing for about an hour, where they talk about different topics. And she was nice enough to actually mention my channel this morning, which was kind of a surprise. I didn't expect it, but she mentioned my channel this morning. One of the problems that I found was that, like for YouTube, for example, they don't allow in the live streams, which is what this is, any type of firearms. So I can't be holding a firearm. I can't be showing a firearm. I can't be moving a firearm from one part of the house to the other. None of that kind of stuff is allowed in live video feeds. So they took my video off last week because my intro video then showed me with firearms, because that's kind of what the show is all about. I talk about different types of firearms, how they work, what they're used for, how to use them in competitions, etc. It's an educational thing. Apparently, the folks at YouTube didn't agree. So I changed my intro video. You saw it today. It's a little different. It's kind of doesn't really have a lot of context. It's just me sitting there talking, except for when I'm making faces at one point. But so that's what the deal is with that. So I can't use firearms in my live video, so I won't be showing those. Now, they didn't say that I couldn't have a gun safe. They didn't say that I couldn't have my reloading station for reloading ammo and stuff like that. So I guess that's not a problem. Anyways, I appreciate her giving me a shout out. And I kind of have this problem with social media trying to decide what is and what isn't good content. I believe in putting out responsible content as much as possible without having any illegal type things going on. But I guess they censor who they want when they want. But anyway, enough of that. So that was one of those things that just happens. I've been spending a lot of time this past couple of weeks putting short videos on TikTok from the different stages that I did at Superstition Mountain Mystery 3-Gun 2021. They're all under 3 minutes, so I can upload those clips and people can watch my competitions. I get lots of likes on some, very few likes on others. It's just the way social media is. But one of the things that I have noticed and have been kind of trying to fight against, because it's kind of near and dear to my heart. The shirt that I'm wearing today is my matte shirt representing the Liberal Gun Club. And that's this logo right here. The Liberal Gun Club is a gun club kind of like the NRA, but for liberals like myself who don't feel inclusive in the NRA or Gun Owners of America or Second Amendment Foundation, because of the fact that we're liberals. And everybody knows, if you watch regular media, that we all hate guns, which to me still, I can't put my brain around that because it's not true. But if you look at social media, you see that all the time. Nobody's, they say that you can't be a liberal if you own guns or if you support the Second Amendment. And I'm always telling them, yes, you can. And they keep telling me that makes me a libertarian, which it doesn't. But I guess you have to rationalize something when you don't agree with it in whatever way. There's a lot of us out here. There's a lot of liberal gun owners that believe in the Second Amendment and support the Constitution. Just got to kind of get away from the stereotypes. Kind of like how a lot of liberals stereotype most conservatives as racist. And most conservatives stereotype liberals as communists or hating guns or any of that kind of thing. It's one of those things where people just need to get their head out of their ass and realize that not everybody is a stereotype and not everybody follows a conformity that the mainstream media likes to push. So, I've been doing this channel now. I'm hoping to get some guests on the show eventually. And where is that photo? You still have the photo?
I think you put it down with the photo album and stuff.
No. I'm talking about the one that you were putting in the frame.
The one of Brickle.
Yeah, I don't have it over here.
Oh, sorry, I had the books out.
So the photo I was going to show you is out there. Okay, so a friend of mine, colleague in the gun community, her name is Brickle. She goes by the American Gun Chick. A lot of you probably have seen and or heard of her on Facebook, YouTube, etc. We follow her on Patreon and support her cause because she's all about trying to teach women self-defense and firearms ownerships, etc. So she sent us a swag bag, and inside was this picture. And it says, Mr. and Mrs. Scooter. That's not what it actually says, but I'm going to say that so I don't put my last name on there. To my favorite liberals, thank you for your support. It's really cool. Hopefully I'm going to get her on the show one of these days so we can have a conversation about the difference between the conservatives and liberals on the 2A issue, and also talk about some of the other stuff that she's doing, bringing more people into the 2A community. She sent us some other swag. She sent me a hat. I do want to mention that several months ago, she did a video that was kind of a parody on the whole, what is that, Tiger King or whatever the hell that thing is, some tiger show or whatnot. Oh, here's the hat she sent. American Tactical. Check it out. I think that's red.
Yes.
It's either red or pink. Anyway, yeah. Okay, here we go.
It doesn't match your
It
shirt.
doesn't match my shirt. So if you're really invested in the 2A community and you want to get around other like-minded people in the 2A community, Liberal Gun Club, if you're a liberal like myself, is a good one. There are some other organizations that are out there working to try to help the 2A community, such as Armed Equality, which is specifically about firearms and stuff for the LGBT community. I love those guys. They're a lot of fun. Everybody should have the opportunity to be armed regardless, and that's what they're fighting for. I believe they started Armed Equality just after the Pulse nightclub shooting in Florida, and they do a wonderful job getting the word out and showing that it's not just conservatives that like guns and that have guns and they can use guns, that are trained on guns. What else did I want to talk about? There was something else I wanted to talk about. Yeah. So anyway, one of the things that Kara, when she was on talking about me on the show this morning, talked about was safety. Now, when Kara ran for office, I think it was 2016, she ran for the Arizona legislature. I myself was running for the Arizona Senate. My wife was running for the Arizona House. We did a shooting video where one of the things that she mentioned at the beginning of the video is that she would like to see more training. And I can agree with that because honestly, if you don't train, you're not going to be worth a shit in any instance where you may or may not have to use a firearm. Okay, it's just the way it is. Training helps with that. And that's kind of why I started doing 3-gun and 2-gun and stuff like that in the first place, was so I could train myself to be better with my firearms, to be able to switch targets when necessary, to be able to shoot on the run, be able to shoot short and long distance. All of this is built into multi-gun competitions. But what she was talking about this morning was how safe we are. I've been shooting multi-gun or gun competitions for, I think next month will be my 3rd anniversary. Let's see, 18, 19, 20, 21. Yes, it'll be my 3rd anniversary at the IDARM, which is the Independence Day annual rifle match or action rifle match. It's held every 4th of July, and part of the proceeds goes to the Phoenix Children's Hospital, which is a very good cause. It was my first competition ever in 2018, and so I've been going back to it every year. It's just rifle-only competition. But in the past 3 years of competing, I've never had any kind of real major accident with a firearm. Why? Because they're pretty strict in competition shooting on safety. Okay? And that's what she was bringing up, that when you're shooting and if you make a mistake, we have in shooting competitions what's called the 180 rule. So you basically have the bay that you're shooting in, or the range that you're shooting in. You have 180 degrees from left to right. If you go past that 180 degrees behind you, you're automatically disqualified because it puts people at risk. It puts people, it's a safety issue. They're very strict about this thing. I've been disqualified before in a match because I had an accidental discharge. When I was trying to change magazines, I was trying to switch between slugs on my shotgun to birdshot in my shotgun, and I fired it accidentally. Somehow my middle finger got in there and pulled the trigger, and I still had a round in the chamber when I was discharging the mag. So I got disqualified. And I see people at matches get disqualified for stuff like that. A lot of times, the big two that I've seen has always been either accidental discharge or breaking the 180. Then occasionally you see disqualifications based on losing control of the weapon. If you drop your gun, if you're running and your gun belt falls off with a gun in it, it's considered loss of control of the firearm. If you fall and you let go of the firearm when you fall, it's the same thing. Because there's a possibility of some sort of tragic event that could happen when you do stuff like that. I don't recall seeing any other disqualifications off the top of my head that I can think of right off the bat. Most of them have been either an accidental discharge or breaking the 180. Now, and that's can be kind of intimidating for new shooters. Okay. But one of the things that I like about the multi-gun community and competition community is that they are there to help. They actually encourage and help you. They teach you. They give you pointers. They explain things to you so you can understand. They try to make you feel comfortable, relaxed, so that you can enjoy the sport rather than worrying about the rules. Because believe it or not, you can actually do both. You can pay attention to the rules and still enjoy the sport. I like shooting multi-gun because it's fun. There's not a lot of sports that I can really play. I can't play soccer. I can't play football. I can't really play basketball. All of these things. I'm almost 55 years old. I've had knee surgery on one leg. I had bad heel on the other leg. Multi-gun, I can do. I'm not the fastest. I'm not the baddest. But in 3 years, my proficiency with my firearms and in the competitions, my competition history has increased greatly, 3,000%. This year was the first time I was actually in a 3-gun stage was actually able to hit the 500-yard targets. It's not easy to do when the last 2 targets in the stage, and you've been running between targets and then had to run up a flight of stairs. By the time you get to the top, you're breathing heavy and you're bouncing around. You know what it is. So this year was the first time I actually was able to hit those targets. It was a milestone. And if you look through my videos, I think that was stage 1 at Superstition Mountain Mystery 3-Gun 2021. So you can go and you can look and you can see the surprise on my surprise. Not you won't see my expression, but the surprise in my voice that I've never been able to hit those targets before, and now I can. So it's a learning experience. And I really encourage people, if you really want to get better with your firearms, don't spend a day or 2 at the range every couple of months. That doesn't really get you much. All it does is let you work on hitting your target that's not moving at a static distance without having to be in a hurry, having to reload on the run, or move between obstacles, etc. If you really want to learn how to use your firearms, get into competitions. There are competitive competitions for people of all skill sets. We have some people that compete that are disabled, that literally have problems moving, but enjoy the sport because at least they can get a sense of accomplishment once they finish a stage or finish the match without disqualification. I've seen people with bad knees. I've seen older people who basically walk real slow as they're moving through the stage, but still work on their skills, and still you can tell that they feel that they've accomplished something at the end. It's something that's good for everybody. It doesn't matter what your age is. I mean, look at me. I'm in my mid-50s, and I just started this 3 years ago, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. Like I said, I'm not the biggest and the baddest, but I'm getting there. I'm getting better. So if you like to compete, if you want to learn more about your firearms, and I understand nowadays it's really hard for people that are firearms aficionados because of the fact it's really hard to find ammo. It really is. I started reloading because I won this. It's a Hornady lock and load single stage press. I won this at Superstition Mountain Mystery 3-Gun this year on the staff table. And I've been learning and teaching myself how to make my own ammo. Now, the problem that I've found the worst part of it has been trying to find primers. They're just not available anywhere. Or if they're available, they're so expensive that it's not really worth spending the money on. I found primers on one website that normally would be, $40, $50 for 1,000, were $200 for 1,000. So you got price gougers out there that are trying to make a big amount of money off the market. And I'm not going to pay for that because at this point in time, I'm not really in dire straits for ammo. But right now, I'm working on 38 Special, which is what this brass is right here. I'm priming and resizing the 38 cases at this point. I just got finished tumbling them this morning. They all look nice and clean, pretty shiny, right? Got a nice little primer in there, but primers are low. I'm making these for a friend of mine who has a 38. She, of course, can't really find ammo for it, so she's going to pay me to make her some rounds. So I'm not going to make much in the way of a profit on it, but at least I'll make a little extra, and she'll be able to buy some ammo, so she'll have it if she needs it. I'm able to now make 38, 9mm, 45 caliber ACP, 223, 308, and I just got the dies to make 4570. I've got brass coming for 4570. I've got the dies. I've got the large pistol primers for the 4570. It's not something that I'm going to make a lot of because I don't use 4570 for much. But because I have a firearm that has 4570, I want to be able to make it. So I'm trying to make ammo that I need for my firearms. Eventually, I'm hoping that I can make ammo for other people and I'll make some money on it once I get proficient enough to where it's actually worth the shit. That's still a little ways down the road. So if you have the ability, and there's some upfront costs to get started with reloading, I would suggest you do that because of the fact that the ammo shortage could go on for a long time. We don't know. We don't know how long the ammo shortage is going to last. We don't know how long or how hard it's going to be to get components. For example, getting powder. I was lucky enough to find some Ogden long shot powder not too long ago, 8 pounds of that. So I've got some gunpowder for my reloads, but not a lot. There's not a lot out there. And because of the shortage, if you go to buy a 1 pound bottle of primer or of powder, you're limited to just the one bottle. And 1 pound, I think, is 7,000 grains. So depending on what ammo you're building, if you're building handgun ammo, that's not bad because for like 9mm, between 5 and 6 grains per round. So if you got 7,000 in a pound, you can make quite a bit. But when you start talking about making 308, 4570, 223, now you're talking between 20 and 60 grains per bullet. So it tends to chew it up quick. So yes, there's some initial cost overlays to get into reloading, but once you get there, once you get the components, it'll be well worth it. When the zombie apocalypse happens, I'll be able to make my own ammo, and I won't have to worry about it. Won't have to shoot some zombies. Yeah, so the IDARM, the 2021 IDARM is in a couple of weeks. It's going to be up at the Ben Avery Range in North Phoenix. The one downside, it looks like this year they're saying that the targets are going to be between 9 yards and 100 yards, which kind of sucks because when you're talking about a rifle match, you want to actually get out there and shoot long distance some too. But they are kind of constrained by whatever range they can actually host the event on. So there's a limit, right? But it should be fun. The only other problem is it's supposed to be 111 degrees that day, so it's going to be butt-ass hot. Not looking forward to that. But I'll hydrate days before. For those of you that shoot in the heat, like here, most of us here in Arizona, there's this thing you can get on Amazon or you can get it at Costco. It's called Liquid IV. It helps you hydrate. It hydrates your body much faster without having to like swig down Gatorade and stuff like that. You just basically mix it in with your water at the powder, and it helps a lot. I had a friend that was having a hard time during one of the matches that we were doing, so I gave her some of the Liquid IV. And she said it was a godsend. She said she could not believe that she drank a couple of those overnight, and the next day she had no problems getting through anything because she was way hydrated. So look it up. It's called Liquid IV. They have different flavors. Good stuff. What time is it? Trying to see where we're at time-wise. I don't know. Okay, so we've only been about 25 minutes. Hopefully sometime in the near future, I'll be able to get some friends on the show so we can talk about reloading. We can talk about competition shooting. We can talk about current events in the shooting community. I'll see if I can get some folks from the Liberal Gun Club. I think Ed or Lisa might want to come on the show and talk about the club, just so we can actually try to get more people involved. The hardest part about the 2A community right now is just the separation. When you go on social media, a lot of times if you get into a gun group on Facebook or some sort of message forums or anything like that, there's a lot of liberal bashing that goes on. Unfortunately, a lot of people that still hold on to the idea that, you know, all of us liberals want to get rid of all the guns, which is not true. And if you come out in the room or in the chat room, group room, whatever it is, forum, as a liberal gun owner, you get flamed. You literally do. I mean, they just rip you up. And I'm assuming that if conservatives were to get into liberal gun groups as well, they would probably get the same thing where, you know, it's the way it is. It's the way that the media has kind of divided us at this point, which really, really hurts the 2A community. So I've spent a lot of time trying to get past that and help people realize that we're all in this together. If you're a conservative gun owner and I'm a liberal gun owner, they're coming to get my guns. We'll be standing side by side for the same cause. And a lot of people don't understand that. Now, I've actually had a lot of luck meeting people on TikTok and actually having that conversation, and people realize that there are some of us out here, liberal-wise, that are actually relatively, logical and don't toe the line and could be a good support for the second 2A community, which has been nice because some people have actually told me, we may disagree on stuff, but you're relatively, down to earth and you support the same things I support. So it doesn't matter that you're a liberal, which is one of those things that we really should start looking at. It doesn't matter if you're a conservative or a liberal. It matters what you focus on and what you support. Because when it comes down to it, I'm going to say something that my wife hates. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, we're all supporters of the Second Amendment. That's the important part. Not what political affiliation we have or which way we lean, right or left, but that we fully support the Second Amendment and we want to be there to make sure it stays. Now, in the news, Texas has just become a sanctuary state and also now is a constitutional carry state, which is good. I mean, Arizona's been a constitutional state for quite a while. So we have the ability to carry concealed without a permit. We can open carry. We can carry whatever firearms. I don't normally walk around with a AR-15 strapped to my back just because of the fact that why? If I'm concealed carrying or carrying openly, it's usually my 45. I have a 1911 that I've had for about 20 years that I use as my primary. I don't carry my race gun around. Because with my luck, I'll fucking drop it somewhere and break it. You know, the Venom, Vortex Venom red dot that I have on my Canic is relatively expensive red dot, and I don't want to break it. If I break it when I'm actually competing, that's one thing. That's the hazard of the job, right? But just carrying it around, I like to run into an aisle at the store or something like that and damage it, and then where I'm going to be. So, competitions. Let's go over some of that kind of stuff. My favorite is 3-gun, and the reason my favorite 3-gun is because it lets me practice my handgun, my rifle, and my shotgun. Because I love the shotgun. I've got a VR80. It's been customized myself. I customized it myself. I put a compensator on the front. Took off the crappy ass buttstock system that it comes with whenever you buy it. It's like this one-piece weird damn thing. But underneath that one-piece damn thing is a commercial buffer tube with that you can put a commercial collapsible stock on, buttstock. So I did that. I put a Luth AR chubby grip on it because I love the Luth AR chubby grip. It feels so good in your hand. And I put the compensator. I've got 5-round magazines. Usually I'll use those if I'm shooting slugs at a match because you only have a few slug targets. So usually you can put a 5-round slug mag in there, and you'll have extra. You can dump them if you need to. I've got the 9-round magazines, and on some of those, I've got the Taylor Freelance +3 end caps on, so they're actually 12 rounds per magazine. I've got some of the 19-round magazines, and I have a 20-round drum. The shotgun has just been wonderful. I haven't had a whole lot of problems with it. I did have some problems with it at Superstition Mountain, but I think that's because I found an actual flaw in the design, so that the barrel where it fits into the gun is actually like two pieces, and somehow the two pieces had turned enough to where the extractor was not grabbing the shell and pulling it out properly, and it's scooted out a little bit far enough to where the firing pin was not hitting the back of the shell, so it just stopped functioning. I got that all repaired and everything fixed, and I don't think it's going to be a problem now that I know what to look for. But had I not been shooting 3-gun with it and using it on a regular basis, I would have never known that there was that possibility of a flaw. It's good to learn these things. So my wife likes the VR80. It's a little heavy for her because she's, 4'2" or something like that.
Stop!
She's 5'2" on a $120, and it's heavy because it's long. Okay, it sits out there. So I've been trying to. Her original shotgun was a Mossberg 500 7+1 20 gauge, which she handled just fine because it wasn't so long. It wasn't heavy. Well, I mean, it's heavy, but not heavy like the VR80, especially when you throw a 19-round magazine in. But I spent a lot of time trying to find her a semi-auto shotgun and had no luck. For the past 2 years, I have had no luck. And then earlier this year, they came out with the VR82. Rock Island Armories came out with a 20-gauge version of the VR80 shotgun. So we traded in her Mossberg for that. It comes with, I think I've got 10-round magazines for it. A couple of 5s, and I think I got her 3 or 4 10-round magazines to go with it. Made the same modifications. They don't have a compensator or muzzle brake for that model yet. Eventually they will, and I'll put one on there. But I did put the chubby grip on there because she likes that also, and put in a collapsible buttstock. That way she can get it tucked in, because with her, she's got to bring it in because she's so small. So she still hasn't fired it yet, because she doesn't like to go to the range when it's hot or whatever. Yeah, okay, there you go. But it's a good shotgun for women that are small in stature and want to have something that's not going to tire them out just trying to hold it up. So it's a really good shotgun. I really enjoy shooting the damn thing. I think I've got 3-gun or multi-gun at Rio Salado next month. Not the 4th of July weekend, but the following weekend is another multi-gun match. So for my handgun, I originally started with the Smith & Wesson, what is that thing? Smith & Wesson MP9? Yeah, MP9. Not the newer ones, not the Gen 2 or 2.0 or any of those things, but the actual original MP9. Comes with a 17-round magazine. I put a green dot on it because I'm blind as a bat, and I can't focus on the back sight or the front sight of the gun without my bifocals or trifocals. So it makes it hard for me to pick up targets quickly. So I've got red dots on everything. It makes it much easier. I used that in a few matches, and it was great and everything. But then one day I went into AJI Sporting Goods, and they had the Canik, what is it? TP9 SFX. And it felt good in my hand. The slide is already ported and everything for competition. It comes with 4 plates that you can put into the gun that hold red dots. So depending on what model of red dot, depends on which of the 4 plates you use. It's got a charging handle built into the slide. It's a nice gun. So I got that gun, I didn't trade the MP9, and I still have that. That goes in my bug out bag. But so I got the Canik. I put a Vortex Venom on it, red dot. I went to Taylor Freelance, and they make a magwell for the Canik TP9 models. There's several models. Mine's the TP9 SFX, but you can use the same magwell on the tactical. There's 3 or 4 different versions of the Canik firearm. So I did that, and it's just a wonderful gun. I really enjoy shooting it. I got the end caps, the +2 end caps from Taylor Freelance for the magazine. So most of my magazines are 20 rounds instead of the standard 18, which helps if you're shooting a lot. But it's a really, really nice gun. I really enjoy it. I got a competition holster from Rocky Mountain Concealment, I think is the name of the company. They specifically made a competition holder for the Canik TP9 SFX. And so I used that. And then for my rifle, I started off, my first AR-15 was the Smith & Wesson MP-15 Sport 2. Now, there was a couple of problems with that firearm. The first being that it does not have a free-floating handguard. So you can't really prop it on anything without skewing your shot. Okay, so if you're like prone and you have the barrel and the handguard sitting on top of something, it's a possibility that your shot's going to get skewed because it's not free-floating. I took the stock handguard off of it and I put on a rail system handguard, which was also not free-floating, and found that it also was skewing my shots. If you're just shooting at the range and you're not really putting any bearing weight on it, but if you put a bipod on it and all of a sudden you're sitting on the ground, it'll skew your shot. It hosed up one of my stages one time, and after talking to some of the more experienced people who looked at my AR-15, that's what they recommended is I switch it. So my friend John, who's another one of the competitive shooters that I deal with, he's a good guy. He had a 2-piece free-floating handguard that would fit my M&P because it had the cutout in it for the front sight, which is welded in. So I put that on there, and I got a compensator from Witt Machine Company, which I put on there. And then, of course, I put the Chubby Grip on it. And I put a True Glow 1x6 scope on it with a red dot on a 45-degree angle for close shots. Worked wonderfully. I had a lot of good luck with it. I was hitting good targets out to 400 yards with it without a problem. But a couple of years ago, I won an Aero Precision M14E. Now, that is a competition grade AR-15 specifically made for competition. So it came with the long free-floating barrel. It already had the compensator on it. The only thing I had to do was add a scope, and I put a Burris optic on it, 1.5 by 6 zoom, second focal plane scope. And I put a Chubby Grip on it, of course. But that firearm has been really, really good, and that's what I was able to actually use when first time I hit those 500-yard target was because of that rifle and because of the scope and because I finally figured out your holdovers and all that other stuff was like, okay, now it makes sense. I get it. So, I mean, if you want to compete, you can use a revolver in a competition. It takes a little, well, unless you're Jerry Mikulik, it takes you a little while to reload a revolver versus a semi-auto. But the average person, you can get into competition without having to really spend much more on gear than you already have. If you have a shotgun, even if it's a pump shotgun, I have a Mossberg 590M model, which uses a magazine instead of the tube loads. And I've used that in competition. It's a little slower, but it's a lot of fun to shoot. And you can use any shotgun that you have. You can use any handgun. There are some rules as to what the caliber has to be, depending on what division you're in. I shoot open division specifically because I'm blind as a bat, and I have optics on all my firearms, red dots and scopes. I don't have a scope on my shotgun, but I do have a very large red dot. It's a sight mark, and it's got a pretty large screen on it because of the fact that it's easier for me to acquire targets as opposed to a small red dot screen. Sorry, it's been a long day. I had to mow the grass this morning, so. But you can use any, if you have just a regular old stock Glock. My son came out last year, and him and his girlfriend went and shot 3-gun with me, and he used just a stock Glock 17. I think it's 3rd generation. and one of my AR-15s. We weren't using shotguns at the time for some reason. I think it was because of the COVID issue. But yeah, so he was using just a Glock 17 and one of my AR-15s, and he did fine with it. He was able to compete just fine. He had a lot of fun. His girlfriend had a lot of fun. She used my wife's Canic and the AR-15 that I let him use, and they had a blast with it. So it's real easy to get into 3-gun and actually participate. You just have to get the right stuff, and then when you do get the right stuff and you want to compete, look in your local areas. Now, most of the local places, most competition places use what's called Practice Score. And if you look that up online, it's practicescore.com, spelled just like it sounds. You can sign up for a free account, and then you can actually search for matches in your area. Here in the Phoenix metro area, there's a lot of, Cowtown has a multi-gun match every month. Real Salado has a multi-gun. Real Salado also has a monthly PCC tactical shotgun, although because it's summer, they're not using shotguns. They're only using PCCs. A couple of years ago, the Phoenix Rod and Gun Club had an October Halloween event where it was specifically just shotgun, and you got points for showing up in costume. So we had guys there. There was one guy there wearing a unicorn costume, like an inflatable unicorn thing that he had around his waist. Another guy, a real good shooter named, what's his name? Jordan. Thank you. Jordan showed up wearing a tutu. There was a lot of really weird costumes, but we all had a great time. It was all about just having fun. It was October. It was on my birthday, October 28th. They haven't had that match in the past couple of years, and I really wish they would, because it was a lot of fun to shoot. It was more about just getting out there and shooting shit as opposed to getting out there and winning, because there wasn't really any prizes or anything like that. But you can find competitions in your area. You can find shooters in your area that can help you learn how to do the game, how to play the game, how to actually participate. Here in Arizona, I recommend Liquid IV and a lot of water because you're going to need it. That was one of the first mistakes I made for my first 3-gun match in September of 2018. It was either August or September. My first match, I was in the afternoon squads because they basically have 2 squads. The first squad starts at 7:30. The second squad starts at 11. When you start at 11, by then you're already over 100 degrees. And I wasn't ready for the fact that we were in areas where there was zero shade out in the middle of the desert in these bays. Since then, we've started carrying around a 10x10 canopy that I have attached to my gun buggy that we just basically set up at each stage so we have some shade. And we cart around a hell of a lot more water nowadays than we did back then because we didn't know better. So it's one of those things. If you really want to get competitive and stuff like that, feel free to email me, scootersbrass@gmail.com. You can message me through YouTube. You can message me through Facebook, any of those. And I'll try to do what I can to help you get you set up in your area, find out what's available in your area. If you're interested in local gun chapters of organizations like 2OA and Second Amendment Foundation, Liberal Gun Club, I can help you find the right path to get to those. If you want to join the NRA, that's fine. I just don't agree with their politics. They've been pretty harsh and dismissive to those of us liberals in the 2A community over the past few years. I used to be a member a long time ago, but they've just kind of gone straight right and are spending more time now, trying to tear down the left as opposed to actually protect our gun rights. Just so you know, that's my opinion, but it is my opinion. So, if you want to get started in it, that's the best way to get started. Is just get out there, look for your local gun clubs, and try to get involved. Because then you start meeting people, you start becoming well known in your area for Second Amendment. You make a lot of impact. The other thing I've noticed with competing is that we don't spend a lot of time at competitions other than joking and poking at each other for fun, dealing with political stuff. We're all at the range for the same exact thing, regardless of political affiliation. We're there to shoot. We're there to compete. So you'd be surprised how little, if you're actually in competition shooting, there's a political side to it. Now, if you're just going to the range and you're shooting on a shooting bench at the main range, like up at Real Salado and stuff like that, you're going to hear a bunch of people talking politics, where they're tearing down this or they're bitching about that. It happens. But in the competition realm, we're all there for the same thing. And they don't care. Because if you're there to rock fire with them, you're there to rock fire. And that's what they're going to focus on, not whether you're a liberal or a conservative or whatnot. So it's a little tough getting started. It may feel a little intimidating. But once you get in there, everybody knows who Scooter is now. Everybody at the range, they say hi to me. People I don't even really know. People I can't remember their names, but they still know who Scooter is. Probably because of my videos and stuff like that, or just because I'm annoying as hell. It could be a little of either of those. But it's something that's good. It's something that's proactive. It's something that people will include you in, regardless of your political affiliation. Don't spend a lot of time online trying to argue with people about 2A rights, because honestly, it's a red herring. Seriously, you're basically going to just run into trolls, and there's a lot of them out there, trust me, that all they are there to do is to disagree with you. No matter what facts you have, no matter how well you present it, no matter what you do, they're never going to agree with you. They're never going to, all they do is get online specifically to argue against you, and that's it. Don't get into those conversations. It's really not worth it. I've stopped getting into those conversations. I've stopped adding into those conversations. On TikTok, when I see somebody do a TikTok post that I find is kind of, one of those things like, you're not helping, I may comment on it, or I may actually do a stitch or a duet with it and say, look, this is not really the way it needs to be. I try to be sensible. I try to be non-aggressive in my responses, and that works a lot of the time. Not always, but some of the time. And I think that's the way we need to start being. We, as both conservative and liberal gun owners, we need to stop being aggressive towards each other, because we differentiate on political views and understand that we all agree on the Second Amendment issues. So that's just where I'm coming from here with Scooter's Brass. Now, I just want to put a shout out. My sponsor, which is AJI Sporting Goods. They are up on Apache Trail here in Apache Junction. It is what the owner calls what a gun store should be. They've got a lot of good deals. They've got a lot of good firearms. I think they're a little low on ammo, just like everybody else is these days. But when it's in, they sell it without limits. So, like for a lot of online places, you can buy one container of powder, or you can buy one box of this or one box of that. A lot of people are doing that. AGI doesn't do that. If they've got 1,000 rounds sitting there, you can buy the whole 1,000. They don't care. They're all for getting people what they need. So if you're in the East Valley area of Phoenix, it's on Apache Trail, just east of Signal Butte on the north side of the trail. Big yellow building with big green letters and a big green white sign. It says AJI Sporting Goods. There are a lot of good people. They've been very supportive for me over the years. They've always supported me. I can't thank them enough. Whenever I wanted to order a VR80, they ordered it for me. When I wanted to order the Diamondbacks 308, they ordered it for me. Not a problem. They're just good peeps. So that's pretty much it for the day, I think. I've got some hamburgers to start preparing for the Father's Day dinner for tonight, and some other things that I need to get done. So I'm going to cut it at 50 minutes for the first time. I think this is the longest I've actually ever been on. I'm hoping that over the next couple of weeks, maybe I can get a couple of guests to be on the show with me, so we can have more than just me blathering on for an hour and have some actual discussions. If I am able to land a couple of guests and whatnot, if you want to be a guest, all I ask is that you be respectful. None of the political hype, but just be respectful, and you can come on the show. We can talk about 2A issues, competition things, any of that kind of stuff. Just send me an email at scootersbrass@gmail.com. And we can see about getting you on the show. It is audio video, so you need to have a camera and a microphone and all that other stuff to be on the show, because then you'll see more than just me on the screen. You'll see 2 people or 3 people or 4 people, up to 10 people. I can have 10 people on the show at the same time. So there's plenty of space for those of you that want to participate. Just send me a message, send me an email. We'll get you in there. And for Scooters Brass, thanks for listening in. Have a very safe and happy Father's Day today. Enjoy yourself and have a good, safe week coming up. Take care.